I get it, you're staring at the wine fridge aisle, scrolling through endless options, and the thought of dropping a few $100s on something that might not fit your kitchen or your wine habit makes you hesitate. You're probably wondering if that sleek, glass door unit will actually keep your bottles at the right temperature, if it'll be noisy enough to bother your dinner conversations, and whether you'll end up with a half-empty cabinet that looks great but never gets used. That's the exact spot I was in last month, trying to decide if a dedicated cooler was worth the investment for my modest collection of reds and whites. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the CaLefort 24-inch wine fridge positions itself as a mid-size, 61-bottle cooler that promises precise temperature control from 40 to 65 F. It's built around a compressor system rather than a thermoelectric unit, which is the same kind of tech you'd find in a full-size refrigerator. In practice, that means you get a consistent chill even on a hot summer day, and you can dial the temperature down for reds or up a few degrees for whites without the whole unit swinging wildly. For anyone who treats wine as more than just an occasional pour, that kind of reliability is a real comfort. The design is where the fridge tries to win you over. The double-pane glass door has hidden hinges that sit flush with the stainless steel frame, giving it a clean, almost built-in look. The door opens to the right, which works nicely if you're placing the unit against a wall and want the handle away from the traffic flow. Inside, the shelves are adjustable and slide on small tracks, so you can reconfigure the space for a mix of standard 750 milliliters bottles and a few taller champagne or magnum formats. The 3 LED lights are soft enough not to glare, but bright enough to see each bottle clearly, and they turn on automatically when you open the door handy for those dim kitchen cabinets. Now, let's talk about the everyday experience. I installed the CaLefort under my kitchen island, which meant leaving at least a couple of inches of clearance on the back for ventilation. The manual stresses letting the unit sit for 24 hours before plugging it in, something I didn't think about until the first day. That waiting period is a bit of a patience test, but after that the compressor kicked in and the temperature settled within an hour. The noise level is comparable to a small dishwasher. A low hum you notice if you're standing right next to it, but it fades into the background once you're in the living room. For an open-plan space, that hum might be noticeable during a quiet wine tasting session, so keep that in mind if you plan to put it in a living room nook. Energy consumption is another practical point. Because it uses a compressor, it draws more power than a thermoelectric cooler, but the unit is well insulated and the temperature range isn't extreme, so the daily kilowatt usage stays modest. If you're watching your electric bill, you'll still see a small bump compared to a standard fridge, but most owners report it's barely noticeable over a month. Who should actually consider buying this fridge? If you have a growing collection, say 30 to 60 bottles, and you enjoy serving wine at the right temperature, this unit hits a sweet spot. It's big enough to store a balanced mix of reds, whites, and sparkling, yet compact enough to fit under a standard counter without demanding a dedicated room. The adjustable shelves make it flexible for those occasional taller bottles, and the glass door lets you showcase your collection without opening the whole thing, which is great for a home bar or a small entertaining area. The built-in aesthetic also appeals to folks who want the cooler to blend seamlessly with their cabinetry instead of looking like a standalone appliance. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. If you're a casual drinker who only keeps a handful of bottles, you'll likely never fill the 61-bottle capacity, and the price point may feel steep for the amount of wine you actually store. Likewise, if you're a serious collector with more than 70 bottles, or you need dual temperature zones for reds and whites simultaneously, this single-zone cooler will force you to compromise or buy a second unit. The glass door, while elegant, is also a bit more fragile than a solid metal front, so families with small kids who tend to bang doors might see a few chips over time. Finally, the requirement for a 24-hour settling period before first use could be a hassle if you're looking for an appliance that's ready to go out of the box. A practical strength that often gets glossed over in the spec sheet is the hidden hinge design. Because the hinges are recessed, you don't have to worry about the door catching on anything when you're pulling it open, and the glass sits flush against the frame, which reduces dust accumulation on the